Today we will go over the high bar versus low bar squat. First, I will go over the high bar squat. We unrack the bar, take 3 steps back, and brace the core. Here you can see that the bar is resting on the upper traps. And to brace the core, we make sure that we squeeze the rib cage and the glutes so that we can maintain a neutral spine. For back tightness, we need to bring the shoulder blades down and back and make sure that the upper traps are engaged. Here, when we are doing the high bar squat, we require more knee mobility, and it is a knee dominant movement. And the torso is more upright. We have a more forward shin angle as well. So next, we will review the low bar squat. This requires a greater hand and foot positioning so that the bar can rest on the rear delts. Here you can see that the bar is on the upper to middle traps, and we need to bring the elbows up higher so that the bar can maintain in place and keep the center of gravity over the midfoot. In the low bar squat, the torso will have a more forward angle. This requires more hip mobility and less knee mobility, and the shin angle is more vertical. Here you can see the wide stance for the low bar squat. The low bar squat also requires more shoulder and wrist mobility because of the wide hand positioning. And this is a comparison of the two forms. I believe the high bar squat is more advantageous for me because it requires less hip mobility and more knee mobility. I'm also more knee dominant, and I have limited shoulder and wrist mobility, so it is easier for me to maintain back tightness with the high bar squat. The main difference between the two forms is that they can be used for different purposes, such as the high bar squat being used more for athletic performance and the low bar squat being used more for strength and powerlifting. The main distinction is that they do have different angles, which may be suitable for different people based on their anatomy, and as well as based on which muscles are more dominant. Range of motion is also important to note, as some people have limitations, and the positioning is very important in that regard.